Hi there, my name is Gina, and today we are going to teach a 60-minute gentle flow class. So let's get into Sukhasana. You just find your legs cross-legged in a seated position, settling into your seat, rooting down into the sit bones. You can allow the shoulders to be heavy, crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. Belly button can tuck slightly in towards the back, elongating through your spine. And if your eyes are still open, gently close the eyes and drop on in. Relaxing through the muscles of the face, eyes gently closed, your jaws relaxed. Go ahead and take a deep breath here through your nose, expanding your belly, expanding your chest. And exhale out through your mouth. 2 more breaths like this. Nice deep breath in. Exhale. 1 more nice deep breath in, expanding everything. And let it go. From here, just finding a nice, even breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Following each inhalation, expanding through the belly, expanding through the rib cage, both front and back. And each exhalation as it makes its way back down the body, chest to belly, relaxing just a little bit more with every exhalation that you take. And not just relaxing in the body, but relaxing in the mind as well. Noticing if your mind is wandering. Noticing when there's thinking. And it's okay to think, we're human. But instead of allowing yourself to dwell on a thought, or create an emotion around a thought, just notice the thought for what it is, let it go, and come back to your next breath. We're just going to treat every thought that same way for the next few moments. Focusing on your breath, letting everything else go. Finding your next exhalation. We'll bring our hands to heart center. Palms in Anjali Mudra. We will open our practice by gently bowing our head down towards our hands. You can allow the hands to float down into your lap. Fluttering the eyes, open, gazing down. And then from here, we'll just float the crown of the head back up. All right, from here on your next inhalation, we're gonna reach both arms up towards the ceiling. Palms face each other. Relax through the shoulders as you reach through your fingers. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, we're gonna take a twist over to the right. So left hand at the outside of that right knee, right hand comes behind you. Belly button tucks in towards the spine. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. And exhale for 2. Inhale, come back through center, reach both arms up. This time as you exhale, we're gonna lengthen to the left. So left hand is gonna come down to the floor, right arm is gonna reach up and over the ear. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Second breath here. And exhale for 2. Let's reach both arms back up. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, lengthening to the right. Right hand comes down, left arm up and over the ear. Inhale. Exhale for 1. Deep breath in. And exhale for 2. Inhale, come back through center. As you exhale, twisting to the left. Right hand to the outside of that left knee, left hand behind you. Deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. And exhale for 2. Let's come back through center. We're going to take a moment. We're going to bring our hands behind us. And then we're going to reach the legs forward. The feet are going to be a little bit wider than mat distance apart. And we're just going to take a few moments to windshield wiper the knees. Dropping the knees from right to left. And if it feels good to pause on one side, you can pause, get a little bit more of a stretch. And then coming back through center, what I want you to do is bring those feet right underneath the hips. Hands are right underneath your shoulders. On your next breath in, we're gonna press our belly up, press our thighs up, our chest up, coming into an inverted plank. You can gaze up towards the ceiling or at your belly button. If it feels okay, you can allow the head to release. We're gonna take 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Really opening up through the chest, through the rib cage. Exhale, 2. Really beneficial for Kapha season right now. On your exhalation, we're going to lower those sit bones back down, and we're going to come into a child's pose. Hips pressing back towards the heels, forehead to the mat. If it feels good here, you can gently rock your head from side to side, massaging your forehead out from temple to temple. Maybe even a little movement in your hips. Go ahead and take a deep breath here. And exhale. On your next breath, we are going to come up into a table. Shoulders stacked over the wrists, hips stacked over the knees, tops of the feet flat on the mat. And we'll just begin to move through some cat-cow. So with every inhalation, rolling your shoulders back, hips up, gazing up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, rounding through the spine, chin to chest, puffing the back body out with breath. So just moving with your own breath, inhaling to arch. Exhaling to round. Moving as quickly or as slowly as the breath. Really allowing the breath to guide movements. Breath and body as one. Now, of course, your spine doesn't just move in 2 directions. If you want to find some other movement here, you can play with wiggling out through the hips, shaking the head, no, or yes, or circling the head. Maybe it would feel good to tuck and untuck the toes, send the hips back towards the heels, or stretch out through the wrists. You can come onto the backs of the hands. Or invert the hands so the fingers are facing the knees. Anything else that might feel good here for you in your body while you're in this shape. And then from our table, we are going to start to walk our hands forward. We're going to come into a chest is moving towards the mat. Maybe that touches. Arms reach forward. Our puppy's pose looks like a cross between our downward facing dog and our child's pose. You should be getting a nice stretch in between the shoulders, where your thoracic spine meets the lumbar. Take another deep breath here in your puppy. On your exhalation, we're going to start to shimmy onto our bellies and come into a sphinx. So sphinx pose, tops of the feet to the mat. Make sure those elbows are right underneath the shoulders. Your fingers are spread nice and wide. Thumbs are pointing at each other. Index fingers are parallel with each other. Gazing in between the hands at this rectangle shape that you've created with the hands. Now, if this feels uncomfortable at all for the low back, you can always allow the front of your rib cage to melt down a touch. Breathing here, nice expansive breathing in your chest. Finding a little bit of movement, what I want you to do is you're going to look over the right shoulder. You're going to look at that right foot. And then you're going to come back through center. Let's look over our left shoulder, look at our left foot. And then back through center. Beautiful. We're going to take one more breath here in center. On your exhalation, lowering the rib cage back down, chest down, forehead down to the mat. Let's bring our hands right where those elbows were. So now our elbows are lifted right next to the rib cage. And then on your next inhalation, we're going to come up into a low cobra. Opening through the chest still, shoulders roll back. But a slightly different asana than our sphinx. Deep breath in. Exhale, lowering back down. All right, rising up one more time, this time to a high cobra. We're going to press those hands fully away from the mat, opening that chest. If it feels good here, you can allow each shoulder to drop towards the center. A little bit more stretching in the back. Getting into the side body. One more breath here. As you exhale, we're going to lower all the way back down, forehead to the mat. Tuck your toes. We're going to press away from the mat, hips pressing back towards the heels. And then we're going to press it back into our first downward facing dog. All right, so in our first downward facing dog here, you can pedal out through the knees, you can rock the head, really stretching out through the body. Downward facing dog is such an effective asana, getting into those calf muscles, those hamstrings, backs of the knees, really pressing away from the mat with each hand to get underneath each shoulder blade. On your next breath in, let's actually bend both knees and really press that belly back. Beautiful. And then as you exhale, we're going to send those heels back towards the mat. Downward facing dog. Now the heels don't necessarily have to touch the mat. Eventually they might get there at some point in your practice, but you're reaching towards the mat with your heels. And it's okay to bend the knees. It looks better if the knees are bent than if you're trying to keep the legs straight and those hips are pressing forward and you're dumping your weight into the wrist. This is not comfortable. Really, if you need to, bend those knees and press back. All right, on your next breath in, we're actually going to shift forward and find a plank. Shoulders stacked over the wrists, reaching through the heels. As you exhale, gently drop your knees down to the mat. Chest and shin, so keeping those elbows right by the rib cage as you lower down. We're going to slide forward onto our bellies. Tops of the feet to the mat. Roll your shoulders back. Open your chest into that low cobra. And then as you exhale, lowering back down. Tuck the toes. Hips to heels. We are back in our downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. On your next breath in, we're going to send that right leg up and back into a downward dog split. As you exhale, bend the knee. Open that right hip. Let's do 3 big knee circles in one direction. Just like you're stirring a pot with your knee. Beautiful. 3 big knee circles in the other direction. Square those hips off, straighten that right leg back. As you exhale, right foot in between the hands, coming into that first low lunge. Okay, so from your low lunge, if you have a set of blocks, you can use them right now underneath your hands. We are going to play with straightening and bending through that right knee for a few moments. Loosening up through that right hip flexor. And then refining that low lunge, rolling your shoulders back, opening through your chest. As you exhale, we're going to take that left foot next to the right foot, finding a forward fold at the front of your mat. Anything you want to do here in your forward fold, you can grab opposite elbows if you'd like, or interlace the hands to the back of the head or behind you. Whatever you think is going to help you release your spine. From the tip of the tailbone to the nape of the neck, and the head is heavy. These things are not going to stay in my ears. Might have to be returned. On your next breath in, roll your shoulders back, open through your chest. As you exhale, folding forward, head heavy, arms heavy. Now keeping the head heavy and the arms heavy, we're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Rolling your shoulders back, palms face forward, Tadasana, mountain pose. And then on your next inhalation, we are going to find that high prayer, reaching those arms out and up. As you exhale, folding forward over your legs, flat back on your inhale. As you exhale, hands to the mat or to your blocks if you have them. Step that left foot back into your low lunge. Pausing here, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, plant the hands, stepping it back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, we'll shift forward, finding plank. Exhale, gently drop your knees to the mat, chest and chin. Slide forward, low cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and exhale. As you inhale, we're going to send that left leg up and back. Exhale to bend the knee. Open that left hip. We're going to circle that left knee 3 times, one away. Three times in the opposite direction. We'll square the hips off, straightening that left leg back. As you exhale, left foot in between the hands, coming back into a low lunge. And we're just going to take a few moments here. Bend and straighten. And then re-bending through that left knee, roll your shoulders back, look forward. As you exhale, right foot next to the left foot, folding forward at the front of your mat. We'll find our flat back on our next breath in. On your next breath out, fold. And then once again, keeping the head heavy, keeping the arms heavy, one vertebrae at a time. We roll our shoulders back. Palms are going to face forward. Tadasana. High prayer, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Flat back, inhale. On your exhalation, let's step that right foot back. Low lunge. Pausing here in your low lunge, looking forward, inhale. On your exhalation, stepping it back into your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, shifting forward, finding your plank. Exhale, gently drop your knees to the mat, chest and shin. Low cobra, inhale. Exhale to downward facing dog or a child's pose. If you need a moment in your child's pose, we're going to take 3 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. 1 more breath here. And exhale. If you were in your child's pose, you can start to make your way back up into your downward facing dog. On your next breath in, we're going to send that right leg up and back. As you exhale, we're going to come into warrior 1. So right foot behind that right wrist, left heel can spin down. As we come into our Virabhadrasana 1, your hips are going to be square to the front of the mat. So, for instance, if you were here in your Tadasana and you can see that the feet are hip distance, you would just take that left foot, step it back, and you see that that left hip is staying forward instead of moving back, which would be more of a warrior 2 shape. Left heel is grounded. Right knee aligned with our ankle. Arms are going to reach up by the ears. Let's take 3 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Belly button tucking in towards the spine. Exhale for 2. Last breath here. On your exhalation, we are going to take a moment to straighten out through that right leg. We're going to take the hands out and then interlace them behind us. Inhale, reach the fist back, open your chest, your throat. As you exhale, rebend through that right knee. Devotional warrior, allowing that torso to melt to the inside of that right thigh. Deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Last breath here. On your exhalation, we are going to slowly rise back up. Reaching those arms back up by the ears, warrior 1. Inhale, gentle back bend. Exhale, hands are going to come back down to frame through that right foot. We're back on the ball, the left foot. We are going to step it back into our downward facing dog. If you choose to, from your downward facing dog, you can move through your vinyasa. Or you can just stay in your downward facing dog. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Last breath. And exhale. On your next inhalation, let's send the left leg up and back. As you exhale, left foot behind that left wrist. Right heel spins down to the mat, rising up into that warrior 1. Hips squared, shoulders squared, arms reaching up by the ears. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. One more breath here. On your exhalation, go ahead, straighten that left leg. We'll take the arms out, interlace them at the low back. Reach the fists back, open your chest, your throat, inhale. As you exhale, re-bending through that left knee, devotional warrior. Definitely returning these 3 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale for 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. One more breath here. On your exhalation, go ahead, rise back up. Arms are going to reach back up by the ears. Gentle back bend, inhale. As you exhale, hands are going to come back down to the mat to frame through that left foot. We're going to step it back into our downward facing dog. If you choose to, you can shift forward, find your plank pose. And then moving through your vinyasa as you wish, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, back into your downward facing dog. Nice deep breath in. And exhale. On your next inhalation, let's send that right leg up and back. This time as you exhale, right foot in between the hands. I'm going to come to this position now. We're going to spin that left heel down. Right heel is aligned with the arch of that left foot because we're coming into warrior 2. We're going to take 5 breaths in warrior 2. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Right knee aligned with your ankle, externally rotated so you can see your big toe for 2. Belly button zips in towards the spine. 3. Chest is open as we're gazing over those right fingertips. 4. One more breath here. On your exhalation, go ahead, straighten through that right leg. We're going to send that left hip back, reach forward. And then we're going to come into Trikonasana triangle pose. So that right hand can come down to your ankle, your calf, maybe on that earbud if it's not staying in your ear. My God. All right. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Nice and long in the left side of the body. 1 more breath. As you exhale, rise back up, arms to a T. We're going to flip that right palm up, reverse Trikonasana, inhale. As you exhale, rebend that right knee. We're going to slowly transition back into a low lunge, facing the front of the mat. Roll your shoulders back, opening through your chest. And then from here, stepping it back into that downward facing dog. Choosing if you want to, move through your vinyasa. Otherwise, you can stay in your downward dog. You can come into child's pose. We're going to take 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale for 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. 1 more breath. And exhale. On your next inhalation, let's send that left leg up and back. As you exhale, left foot in between the hands, right heel spins down. Virabhadrasana 2, left arm forward, right arm back. 5 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale for 4. 1 more breath here. From Virabhadrasana 2, straighten that left leg, send that right hip back. Trikonasana, left hand down, right arm reaches up. Deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. One more breath in Trikonasana. On your exhalation, rising back up, arms to a T. We're going to flip that left palm up, reverse triangle. Slowly transitioning into reverse warrior by bending through that left knee. We're going to start to bring our hands back down to the mat to frame through that left foot. Back on the ball of the right foot. Step it back into your downward facing dog. Move through a vinyasa if you choose to. Three breaths where you need it. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Last breath here. And exhale. On your next breath in, bend the knees, look between the hands as you exhale. Step, step, or you can take a gentle hop to the front of your mat. From here, we are going to take our peace fingers and our thumbs. We're going to wrap them around our big toes. I want you to find as much of a flat back as you can here, letting those elbows splay open, opening through the chest. And as you exhale, allowing the belly to move in towards the thighs, head is heavy, yogi toe lock, 3 breaths, inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. One more breath here. And exhale. You can go ahead and release the hands from the feet. 1 vertebrae at a time. We're going to roll on up to stand. Head is the last thing to arrive. You can roll your shoulders back, palms face forward. Tadasana, mountain pose. We're going to come into tree pose from here. So coming into our tree, you're going to shift the weight into that right foot. Left foot can either come to the inside of your ankle, so the heel to the ankle with the toes on the mat. You can bring that left foot to the inside of the shin, or if it's available to you, you're going to glue that left foot to the inside of that right thigh. So that left foot is pressing into that right thigh, but that right thigh is pressing back. You can have your hands to heart center if you'd like. Or if it's in your practice to reach the arms up overhead, you can come into the Jana Mudra here, thumb look over the index finger, standing for intention. Finding your drishti, your focal point, whatever is going to keep you steady. Make sure you're breathing. Let's bring those hands back together. Back to heart center. I want you to bring that left knee back in towards the chest. Foot is flexed. We're going to extend that left leg forward for a moment. Maybe you can lift that left foot a little higher. And then we're going to release that left foot down to meet the right. Take a moment. You can shake out through the legs a bit. And then we're just going to come right into the other side. So shifting the weight into that left foot, we're going to take that right foot either to the inside of the ankle, shin, or thigh. Whatever you did on the other side. And it's okay if you wobble a little bit, trees sway in the breeze. Breathe here. Let's bring those hands back together. Back to heart center, we're gonna bring that right knee in towards the chest, flex through the foot, extend that right leg out in front of you. Maybe you lift that right leg up a little higher, and then go ahead and lower that right foot down to meet the left. Take a moment, shake things out. We're gonna bring the feet about mat distance apart. Now I'm on the long side of my mat, so facing the front of the mat, you're gonna have your feet mat distance. Heels are gonna go slightly in, toes are going to come out. And we're gonna reach both arms out and up into a high prayer. As you exhale, we're gonna bend those knees and come into a little squat. Now, if this is really uncomfortable for you, or your heels are lifted, or you're rounding forward, you can sit on something. You can sit on a block, maybe 2 blocks, just so you can sit straight up and the chest is open. Elbows are gonna come to the inside of those knees, hands to heart center. You're using your elbows to press those knees open. And then from our squat, we are going to do a couple of twists. So you can take that right hand down to the inside of the 2 legs. Right hand is gonna go to the outside of that right foot, but the bicep is still to the inside of the knee. We're gonna reach our left arm up. That left hand, take the back of the hand, we're gonna bring it to our low back. Now, if your body allows, if those shoulders allow, you can maybe take that right arm and reach around and find a bind. We're gonna take 3 breaths, inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. 1 more breath. And exhale. You can release your bind if you have it. Right arm, left arm reaches back up. And then hands are gonna come back to heart center. Coming into the opposite side. Left hand down, over to the left, still to the inside of that knee. Right arm is reaching up. You can take the back of the hands to the low back. Maybe find the full bind. Deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Last breath. If you have the bind, go ahead, release it. And then hands are gonna come back through heart center. Gonna take 1 more breath here in your squat. And then on your exhalation, we're gonna bring our hands down to the mat. We're gonna start to send those hips high, head low, finding a wide-ish legged forward fold. You can sway the hips from side to side, pedaling out through the knees. And then from here, heel toeing the feet so they are once again underneath the hips. We're gonna find our flat back. As you exhale, hands are gonna come back down to the mat. We're gonna step it back into our downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, if you choose to move through your vinyasa, deep breath in, exhale, 1, inhale, exhale for 2, last breath, and exhale. On your next inhalation, let's send that right leg up and back. As you exhale, we're gonna come into a lizard. So that right foot is gonna come to the outside of that right hand. Gently drop that back knee down, untuck the toes. You can bring your hands down to blocks or your forearms down to blocks or your forearms down to the mat, if that's available for your hips. We're gonna find a little bit of gentle rocking here. Breathing into that hip flexor. One more breath. If If you did make it up onto your forearms, you're gonna come back up onto your hands. I want you to bend that left knee slightly as you heel toe that right foot across the mat, coming into your pigeon. So in your pigeon, you want to try to get that right shin as parallel as you can to the front of the mat. It's okay if it's not perfect. Just make sure that that right knee isn't center or going over to the left. If you need something for your right hip, if you notice that that right hip kind of moves to the right, you can always bring a block, bolster, a shirt, stuff it underneath that right hip if you need to. Or same thing, as you start to lower yourself down, you can place something underneath your forehead. And just stay here and focus on your breath. Relax through the front of your body. On your next breath, we're going to slowly press ourselves back up. You're going to take your time, tuck your toes, press it back into your downward facing dog. Now, if it feels good once you get back into your downward dog to pedal out the knees, go ahead. You can sway your hips. Maybe you want to reopen that right hip. Maybe it's in your practice to flip your dog. That's always an option. If you choose to, you can move through another vinyasa. And then on your next inhalation, we'll send that left leg up and back. As you exhale, left foot to the outside of that left hand. Gently drop that back knee down, untuck the toes. Having the hands onto the mat or to blocks, or forearms down to the mat or to blocks. Breathe here. And start to rise back up. Little bend in that right knee. You can heel toe that left foot across the mat. Coming into pigeon. Whatever you used on the other side, you can lower yourself down when you're ready to. Relax and breathe. One more breath here. Let's slowly begin to rise back up. Pressing away from the mat, you can press back into downward facing dog. It's going to be our last downward facing dog today. Anything that feels good, anything that you might have done on the other side, if you flipped your dog or opened your hip. And then if you choose to, you can take one more vinyasa. And then we're going to come into child's pose. Hips pressing back towards the heels, forehead to the mat. Maybe noticing how the body might feel in this child's pose compared to the first one that we did. From your child's pose, I want you to begin to walk the hands up towards the knees. We're going to press it up into Virasana. Hero's pose. Now from Virasana, we are going to come into Ustrasana, camel. If you have any sensitivity to your knees, now's a great time to place something underneath the knees. We're going to stand up onto our shins. Knees are going to be hip distance apart, and we're going to take the hands behind us. Now, just to show you what this looks like from the back, thumbs are pointing at each other. I personally like to tuck the toes in camel. Not everybody tucks the toes, but that's just my personal preference. As you start to press forward through the pelvis, and I'll show it to you from the other angle in a moment, those heels of the hands are going to come towards each other, and those elbows are going to move towards each other as well. So the arms are going to be as parallel as they can be to the back. Okay? All right, so coming from this side, we are going to start to press the thighs forward, press the pelvis forward, the chest opens. If it feels okay here and you want to go ahead and reach for your heels, do it. You can either look forward, up towards the ceiling, or you can drop your head back if that's okay for your neck. 3 breaths, inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Last breath. On your exhalation, you can start to bring your hands back up by the hips. We're going to untuck the toes if you tuck them, hips to heels, knees together, hands to thighs, back in our Virasana. We're going to close our eyes for a moment and breathe. Nice neutral spine. Feeling how our body is feeling after that heart opener, which is a really wonderful asana for the lungs. But also as a heart opener, it can open up other things, other emotions perhaps. Heart openers can feel funny. And a lot of times we don't know how to explain why. We're going to start to gently open those eyes. We're going to scooch our hips to one side, swing the legs around in front of us. Dandasana, staff pose. You can bring the hands by your hips. You're going to relax those shoulders down, crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. Feet are flexed, so those toes are reaching up towards the ceiling as well. You're going to ground through your hands unless you have short limbs like me, and then you can just have the hands tented. From here, keeping the shoulders plugged down, we're going to reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath in, belly button tucks in. As you exhale, hinging from the hips, we'll find a forward fold. If the hands don't reach for the feet, you can always bring the hands to either side of the legs. Deep breath in. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. One more breath. And exhale. Go ahead, rise back up. We're going to start to bend those knees. Soles of the feet to the mat. And lower all the way down onto your back. All right, so from here, let's bring the knees in towards the chest. You can rock and roll, massaging out through the spine. If it feels good to come into happy baby, you can reach for the outer edges of the feet, drawing those knees in towards the underarms, maybe playing with straightening out one leg, straightening out the other leg, if that feels good, maybe both legs at the same time. And then we are going to bring those knees back in towards the chest. And we're going to drop our knees to the right. You can scooch those hips a bit over to the left to help deepen the twist. Head turns to the left as well. Nice deep breathing in your spinal twist. Breathing deeply in twist is so important for our lymphatic system, which helps to strengthen our immunity, especially in Kapha season. You can start to bring those hips back through center. Scooch them over to the right now. Knees are going to drop down to the left. Head turns to the left. Or sorry, to the right. Hips to the right. Head turns to the right. Knees are to the left. Breathe here. Kapha season in Ayurveda falls in late winter and spring. And it's a time where we get allergies, congestion, stuffiness. So again, twists and heart openers are incredibly beneficial during this time. Let's come back through center. We are going to close our practice this morning with either a restorative inversion, like restorative shoulder stand. If you're doing restorative shoulder stand, use a block. You're going to place a block underneath your seat, and you're going to extend both legs straight up towards the ceiling. I'm going to do shoulder stand, so if you're up for shoulder stand, you're going to, again, send those legs up towards the ceiling, no block underneath you, and you're going to give those hips a little bit of a hop, bringing the hands underneath the low back. Now think about your camel pose here. You're going to really try to get those elbows as much as you can underneath the body. And then from here, to straighten out those legs, I'm going to press my pelvis forward, and get those legs nice and high. Use your hands to support your back. 5 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale for 5. If you are in your shoulder stand, you can lower those legs over the head for plow pose. Exhale, 6. Inversion's incredibly beneficial also for the lymphatic system. 7. Inhale. Exhale, 8. Inhale. Exhale, 9. One more breath here. From here, you can gently bend through the knees, rolling back down onto your back. Now, if your practice feels incomplete without doing fish, I personally do not do fish because I have some neck issues throwing my head back like that. But if you can do fish, you can do that. Otherwise, make sure that you're nice and comfortable here. As we're coming into our Shavasana, I am going to put my sweatshirt back on. If you took off some clothes too, you might want to put them back on too. Get cozy, get comfortable. Maybe putting socks back on. Really allowing yourself to let go. Back body is heavy. Front body is light and supported by your back body. Letting go of any leftover tension that might still be in your body. Starting with your toes, soles of the feet, the heels, the ankles, the calf muscles, the backs of the knees, the thighs, the hips. On your next breath in, feeling the breath expanding through the belly. On your exhalation, feeling the breath softening from the belly, softening from the waist, softening from the low back as well, that little curve of the spine that doesn't quite touch the mat. Releasing any tension from your fingers, your hands, your wrists. Your forearms are heavy. Your biceps are heavy. Heads of the shoulders. Resting, melting even into the mat. On your next breath in, your chest will expand with breath, expanding the upper rib cage, expanding through the lungs. And as you exhale, feeling the entire length of your spine release. Back of the neck, all the way down to the very tip of your tailbone. And all the muscles that surround it in the back. Your neck is relaxed, your jaw is relaxed. Maybe the lips are slightly open. Tongue resting on the roof of your mouth. Eyes resting on the backs of the eyelids. No tension in between the eyebrows. No tightness in the forehead. Nice deep breath in through the nose, expanding the belly, expanding the chest, filling your entire body with breath. And as you exhale, releasing any leftover tension out through the crown of your head. start to deepen your breath. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, swaying the head from side to side. On your next breath in, reaching both arms back behind, give yourself a big old stretch. And then from here, you can start to bend your knees, rolling on over to your right side. Keeping the head heavy and the eyes closed. You can start to gently press your way up, finding a comfortable seat on your mat. Let's bring your hands to heart center, palms in Anjali Mudra. I want you to take a moment to thank yourself for doing something good for your body, but also for your mind. And I thank you so much for joining me in your practice. Namaste.